and Prescott of Great Britain. Just two Europeans in this race, Jimmy Vico and Reece Prescott. What a weekend Reece Prescott has had. Absolutely fantastic for this young man to have made the final of the World Championship. CJ Uja missing out by just a couple of hundredths of a second will be a frustrated spectator. Take a closer look at these 8 men. Chinese record holder at 100 meters, Su Bingtian, 27 years old. Short, compact, powerful, will start well, but I'm sure he'll get run down by several in this field. Jimmy Vico, on his day, a fabulous performer, has had his fair share of injuries as Vico, semi-finalist on this track in London 2012. There is Bolt, the defending champion, the reigning champion. Can he be denied? 9.97 in his semi-final was the time by Coleman. Bolt ran 9.98, his second best time of the season. Christian Coleman could be a real threat here if he can start and put the different sections of the race together well. He is the world #1, let's not forget, with 9.82. Simbine of South Africa, fabulous in his semi-final, 9.92 this year, quicker than Bolton's run this season. Johan Blake there, saying a quick prayer. The 27-year-old seems like he's been around a long time. He won this title back in 2011 in the absence of Bolt after a full start by his bigger teammate. And Justin Gatlin there in lane 8, yet again getting that boo. Every time he appears on the big screens, is introduced to the crowd, he gets booed, as Reece Prescott gets the exact opposite reception there. Only 21 years old, the massive Briton. Martin equating him to Linford Christie in build earlier, and the way he runs, he's about 6'4", he's a huge fella, and he finishes well too, rather like one Usain Bolt, but just not quite as quick over the first half of the race. So the blue ribbon event of any major championships. Who will be the world's quickest man of 2017 in a minute or so's time? Su Bingtian of China in 2, Jimmy Vico in 3, Bolt goes in 4, alongside him the real threat, the world #1, Christian Coleman of the USA in 5, Simbine of South Africa 6, Blake of Jamaica 7, Gatlin in lane 8, second to left, and Prescott of Britain in lane 9. Away they go again, a really good start from Coleman. Bolt is chasing hard. Is he going to get back to him, or is he not? Coleman is leading at the moment. Blake's coming, but is he going to run off track, or is he going to get there? I think he's been beaten. I think Coleman took it. There was not the usual surge from Bolt over the last 20 metres or so, and I do believe very tight indeed that it was. I think Bolt's been beaten. The result has come up on screens that Gatlin's taken it. Goodness me, it was a blue American vest, 9.92 for Gatlin. And you might have jinxed Usain Bolt there, Chris, by saying that, can you imagine a scenario where Gatlin comes out and beats Usain Bolt? But he has, 9.92 by the American champion to take gold. How ironic is that? And the crowd will have to swallow that one, I'm afraid. They've booed him through yesterday and today, every time his name is mentioned or he's appeared on screen. But Gatlin's turned back those challenges. Indeed, he's fed off it. He's fed off that ire from the crowd, and Bolt has been beaten. Goodness me, Gatlin 9.92, Coleman 9.94. It's a 1-2 for the USA, ironically, and Bolt 9.95 in third. But at the age, Justin Gatlin there, of 35, he has beaten Bolt. I cannot believe it.
And I think I'm right in saying that is Bolt's first ever global bronze medal.
I think you're right. Goodness me, he didn't get a great start. His start was poor. Coleman's brilliant. Gatlin was strong throughout. Johan Blake finished in 4th, only a click behind Usain Bolt. He was a little bit more humble about it, I think.
There was no contrition, was there? No contrition at all. Here it is again. And all eyes at this stage were on Coleman, who was going very well indeed, and Gatlin comes from a long way back, and it was a question of whether Bolt could get back at Coleman. But in the meantime, Gatlin, second from the nearest lane here, and he gets it by a clear margin in the end. And Bolt just not able to get back. And once again, it's the start that cost him.
Do you know, that's just how Gatlin beat Coleman at the US Championships, with a fabulous surge for the last 15 or 20 metres. I was so intent on watching the battle between Bolt and Coleman. escaped my attention on the near side, but you're right, Chris, there was clear daylight between Gatlin and his compatriot, both tipping there, the biggest man in the field, but beaten fair and square, so to speak, by the two Americans. And his start did let him down. And, you know, season after season, people have written off Bolt in the first half of the season. Then he's come up and produced the goods at the 11th hour at the major championships, but crucially when it really matters. And I just had that faith in him, that blind faith that he'd do it again. And I think most of us probably did. But he couldn't do it tonight. His last ever individual race, we're led to believe.
Indeed, and you and I were there, along with all the Eurosport viewers 2 years ago in Beijing, when there was quite a lot of animosity, wasn't there, in the run-up to that particular race. And against all the odds, Bolt came out on top. Gatlin, for me, has really served